aren't risk averse. We're told that we're risk averse. We're actually just risk aware because women are raised. There's an old saying: boys are raised to be brave, and women are raised to be perfect. And
Hello, my name is Morgan MacDonald. I am the On-Site Support Services Manager out of our New York and New Jersey region. I have been with Triumvirate for 7 years, and I'm very pleased to be here today with Deanna Creamer.
Hi, I'm Deanna Creamer, and I'm the Chief of Staff here at Triumvirate Environmental. I've also been here 7 years.
Deanna and I are here to introduce you to Growing Roles of Women. This group was started to support our initiative to transform Triumvirate into the leading environmental services company for women to work at in North America by growing a gender-inclusive community that is prioritized throughout all levels of the organization.
I've been lucky enough to lead this group along with Alicia Aniello and our executive sponsor, Alicia Aniello, who you'll be hearing from shortly. The goal of our committee is to highlight and support our amazing women here at Triumvirate Environmental, as well as simultaneously inspiring a new generation of leaders throughout the organization.
Welcome to the first installment of Trash Talking, Growing Leadership within Triumvirate Environmental.
This is a 4-part series here at Triumvirate with our Growing Roles Committee to highlight leaders in the organization to support career growth for women. Now I'd like to introduce Alicia Aniello, our General Manager of the New York and New Jersey region. Fresh off of your leave, you recently had a baby, you were blessed.
I had a baby boy.
Excellent.
Theodore Cosmo Mafuccio joined us on September 27th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You started at Triumvirate as an environmental specialist up in Boston and have held many roles throughout your career with the organization. How have the previous roles that you've held at Triumvirate impacted your current leadership style?
So I've held a lot of roles. It has been how many years?
17 years.
17. Thanks for counting. It's been a long time. The different roles, each role is built on, was built on the last, from a technical standpoint, building up my my technical skill set in terms of hazardous waste disposal and all the different rules and regulations that come along with it. The different ways that we help our clients, but I think even more importantly than the roles were the bosses that I had in all of those different roles, and watching their leadership style, watching what I liked, what I didn't like, and kind of building my own leadership style based on some of that.
As a women leader, what advice would you give current women here at Triumvirate Environmental on how to advance their career? And what helped you kind of take it to the next level?
So for many of the positions that I held, there was, for a number of them, the title didn't exist initially, and we kind of made the title. Growing at a very rapid clip, even though we're much larger than we were when I started. But what happens is, it's like when you're rolling out dough, right? And you try to stretch the dough and you stretch it too fast, you end up with holes in it, right? And so I always saw where those holes were, and it's something that could be felt throughout a branch or throughout the enterprise, right? And so saying like, hey, there's something that's missing here, and we need to fix this, and I have an idea, right? If you have an idea on how to fix something, I don't know how your manager, your boss, anybody else is going to say, oh, just leave that in the parking lot. That's not good, right? We all need help because we are growing and expanding quickly. So noticing a problem, coming up with a solution, right? Not going to people with problems, coming to people with solutions, and raising your hand and volunteering. If you're that in tune that you could spot the problem and you have a solution, then you should be in that spot anyway,
I agree, and I think just to point out, it's so important to raise your hand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women tend to have a little bit of self-doubt or maybe a little bit risk-averse, but I think what people need to remember, if you're not raising your hand, then someone else is going to be raising their hand, and that opportunity is going to go by the wayside. So don't be afraid to take some small risks.
Yeah, I watched I don't know if it was a YouTube or whatever. Actually, it was the Chief X, and I'll talk about Chief for just a second, but Chief X had Sally Krawcheck, who used to run Merrill Lynch, I think Bank of America too, but she's got her own financial investment firm now that is just strictly for women. That's where I send my money, every paycheck. And so she says that women aren't risk averse. We're told that we're risk averse. We're actually just risk aware because women are raised, there's an old saying, boys are raised to be brave and women are raised to be perfect. And so we always need every last piece of information before we jump to make a decision, right? We don't see that. That's right. Done is better than perfect. We have to remind ourselves of that. We don't have to be perfect.
Alicia, can you remind me what Chief is? I know you've talked about it before, but I forgot.
And Deanna had asked too about women in leadership roles at Triumvirate, and we do have wonderful leaders here, but I wasn't finding a way to figure out how to lead in a way that was more authentic to me. A lot of times you go into a room, everybody looks the same, you feel like you have to act like that room, you have to fit in. And so that actually is like a detractor to being able to lead in your own way, right? So I said, okay, I gotta figure something else out because I am in a position of leadership and I want to do well, I want to succeed. And there was something that just wasn't clicking for me. And
As a woman.
Yeah,
Not to interrupt you, but as a woman.
and so I found on Instagram this group called Chief, and I did have to interview. It is a women's only networking group. Chief it's not an acronym, but Chief is the beginning of the C level, right? Chief Financial Officers, Chief Technology Officers, Chief whoever's. And so that is the name, and it's mostly made up of VP level and above women. It's meant for networking, it's meant for training and teaching series, it's meant for, friendship.
Brainstorming.
Yes, yep, brainstorming. So a lot of mentoring. I belong to a mentor group within that. We meet every month, and so I've been meeting with the same group of professional women for 3 years now. And even though we come from very different organizations that are doing very different things, different titles. We all have teams that we're trying to inspire. We all have children. Now there's one more holdout. So Shelly's got 2 dogs and she treats them as such. We're all working women and trying to work through all the interesting stuff, the day to day. How do you be good at home? How do you be good at work? How do you be the best at both? It's a wonderful group to be part of.
My next question to you, Alicia, is what are the benefits of women in leadership roles?
It's very natural for everybody to want to see somebody that looks like them across the table, right? When people go to see a therapist, usually they choose a therapist that looks like them or is in some way, shape, or form, like has walked a similar life path as them. So it's very natural for you to want that across the table when it's your boss or your manager, right? And so if we have a dearth of that in a leadership role, then you're not going, women aren't going to be encouraged to join that, right? And so that really leaves out 50% of our workforce, right? You really want everybody's different, input, and you can't have different inputs if you don't have different people.
I agree. I think that sometimes women do think about things from another perspective, so bringing that different perspective to the table, whether it be the experiences they had as a woman in the workforce, I think it's invaluable to have those conversations brought to the table, especially when there's more than one woman, right? Because I think women struggle a lot with sharing their ideas at the table when it tends to be a heavily male-dominated table. But the more you see people that are similar to you, I think people in general are more comfortable.
We often talk about resiliency being a necessary character or characteristic of a leader. You just spoke about how you had to rebuild your team when you became general manager in New York. What enabled you to be resilient during that time? How did you show up every day with a good attitude and keep a positive mindset to build that team and remain resilient as a new general manager?
Over time. So interesting, we have the new e-spec onboarding and the general managers are asked to talk about different things, grit and self-awareness and resiliency and your brand, right? Grit/resiliency, right? That's in there. There's something about challenging yourself to get to the finish line, right? here's the plug, I've run a bunch of marathons, right? You gotta run each marathon to the very last mile, right? I'm not gonna start something that I can't finish. So I wasn't gonna start and get in this role and then say this is too hard, or I wasn't set up, or I wasn't, right? It's not on anybody else. So you gotta decide what you want and you gotta go after it, right? And so I wasn't gonna start anything that I wasn't gonna finish. And if something's hard, I want to figure it out. I wanna figure out the puzzle. And I want to get it across the finish line, right? And that takes a lot of, I think, two things. One, that self-awareness piece that we talk about, right? When we hire people, you have to understand what pushes your buttons, what gets you to get to work every day, even if you're just like, shit, this isn't for me, or what gets you to, you know, inspire others around you. So what really gets you moving, and having that self-awareness, what gets you down. So you have to think about that stuff. And then, you know, I'm reading, I told you about Unreasonable Hospitality. I tell you about that? It's on. And so this happened to be the book that the book that I picked, and this idea of like continuously reinventing yourself. You know, you have to like continuously like reinvent yourself in order to impress yourself. I want to be an impressive person to other people, but I want to impress myself. I want to look at myself and say, oh shit, you did that? Okay, cool. You know? And so in order to do that, you have to set the target, you got to set the goal, you got to figure out how you're going to do it, and you got to get there. But you're never going to get there by being the same person forever.
It's rewarding to take the best parts of yourself and bring them to your next
Yeah, and whatever else. Like you leave that in the airplane, you just jump out, right?
Yeah,
we did that.
We did that.
One of the things that I want to take note of about the resilience that you've had is that you didn't mention is that not only are you resilient, but you know to rely on people. To be resilient, you can't be resilient on your own. You have to bring people up with you in order to be successful. And I think Morgan is a testament of that right there. So in order to be successful, surrounding your people who are supporting you and elevating them to their next level is part of the success of your resilience.
This is the new chapter. Dan, I want to thank you for all of your work pushing to make GROW what it has turned into thus far. I think it's very important that we have this leadership pathway that women can understand and follow. Again, we've said this before, like it's not something that I had, and it's definitely something that I would have appreciated. So thank you for doing that. I guess what was your inspiration to get this going?
So GROW existed as a committee for a few years. After COVID, it kind of quieted down. A lot of committees kind of took a back seat because people weren't getting together, and we really weren't making that a priority. But right now, Doug came to me to ask me if we can make it a more formalized program and to put some thought into it and how I envisioned it. So I partnered with Alicia Aniello, and we had a few conversations. So it's a 12-month program. We're in our first year piloting the program, and when we were having these discussions, we felt like it was really important to have an executive sponsor, and that's where we engaged Alicia. I think Alicia not only brought the perspective as a women leader, but like you talked about Chief as well, bringing that perspective from the outside of some of the programs we can implement. We're implementing a sponsorship program right now. I think that's something similar to what you talk about in Chief as far as mentorship, how important that is, being a woman leader and having that seat at the table with an executive. We also have been able to have some financial training with a former president of a bank, John McQuillan, was gracious enough to recommend Deb Drapalo to do the first part of a two-part series where we're going to educate women on reading financial statements, understanding P&Ls, and get them more familiar to have those conversations. We're looking to continue this with the next group of women leaders in the organization. We're really excited because we've gotten a lot of support from all of the executives to make this a priority in the company, as well as recruiting for new hires and put a little bit more focus on women.
So we're gonna put you in the hot seat now. You ready?
We're gonna play a game called This or
That.
Questions.
Alicia.
Yes.
Coney Island or Bronx Botanical Gardens?
Coney Island.
Cyclone or Wonder Wheel.
The one.
The Met or Museum of Natural History?
Natural history. Teddy Roosevelt all day.
Brooklyn or Manhattan.
Manhattan now.
Yankee Stadium or Madison Square Garden?
Ooh, MSG.
Interesting.
It's closer to home.
All right.
Central Park or Prospect Park.
Central Park.
Bakery or butcher? Bakery.
Love me some croissant.
I got a good one. Michael or Teddy.
Pass.
Good answer. Tim or Doug?
Pass. Sunrise or sunset?
Pass. No. Sunrise.
Full moon or new moon?
New moon.
It's good because it's a new moon right now.
New moon.
Jack of all trades or specialist?
Jack of all trades.
You like the Swiss Army knife.
I do. I feel like that's a.
Emily.
Also me and my husband.
Oh.
When he gets into something, he gets into it, man. Like we have to
Like fish?
Fish. 24/7. 24/7 fish. So okay.
Okay, go.
New York City mascots, Flacco the Owl or Subway Pizza Rat.
Oh, Flacco.
He's a cool guy.
I got one. Heels or sneakers?
Heels.
You run your marathons in heels?
No.
Beer or wine? Or Tito's?
Wine.
So, favorite album of all time? And I know you're a music lover.
Oh, all time. I mean, it depends on the day. I mean, Lemonade is fantastic. Renaissance is fantastic. But Florence and the Machine. I
You
mean,
got a big crush on her.
Florence has helped me through some really tough times. But also Pearl Jam 10. I wrote like every paper in junior high and high school to Pearl Jam 10.
No,
We got
do
one.
you have favorite colors to see on the Empire State Building?
Whatever my husband puts on, he's got this app.
He's got the
And
app. He
changes-
can do it?
Yes.
He's one of those. He
Yes.
must be.
Michael can change the
Yeah.
colors.
Excellent. Well, I think that wraps it up for this or that. And our time here with Alicia Aniello, the General Manager for the New York and New Jersey region. I'd like to thank Morgan MacDonald for joining me today, hosting first of that 4-part series of trash talking, growing leadership roles here at Triumvirate Environmental. Thank you again, Alicia, for taking your time. I know you're busy with the baby Teddy, your husband Michael, and running this awesome operation here in New York.
Here, Alicia, and thank you for having me in the committee, Dan. I'm very grateful and appreciative to be a part of Grow and very much looking forward to what we accomplish in the new year.
And thank you for having me as the first guest on this 4-part series. I also want to say thank you to the camera crew. And of course the executive team as well for making this a priority.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to wrapping up this first Grow committee and passing the torch to the next group of ladies.
It's an exciting time to be at Triumvirate Environmental, and you haven't seen the last of us.